Now at noon on KGW, a deadly crash on Marine Drive when a truck plows head-on into another truck. What we've learned about the driver, plus the latest in the death of Hollywood legend Gene Hackman and his wife, who were found dead in their home today. And a former congresswoman from Oregon is one step closer to potentially becoming the Secretary of Labor. We start with new information this afternoon about a deadly crash on Marine Drive in Fairview. The Multnomah County Sheriff's Office tells us a 17-year-old boy died in this crash. Authorities say just after 6 o'clock last night, a pickup truck driven by a 17-year-old crossed the center line and then crashed head-on into a FedEx truck. The pickup rolled over, trapping the driver, who did not survive. There was another 17-year-old boy in that pickup. He was taken to the hospital along with the driver of the FedEx truck.
Unfortunately, we do see a number of accidents on Marine Drive, and so obviously we encourage drivers that use Marine Drive to, number one, follow the speed limit and really pay attention to where you're at in your lane. There's not a lot of room between the lanes, so it's important to maintain your lane.
Investigators say they don't believe drugs or alcohol were involved in the crash. The road is now open. In Camas, police are looking for the suspects who they say used a vehicle to smash their way into a shooting range and made off with multiple guns. This was just after 2 o'clock Tuesday morning at the Safe Fire indoor range. Authorities say the suspects stole several guns and were gone by the time police got there. So far, police have not released any details about the suspect or the vehicle they were driving. And take a look at this. A Pearson airfield. Vancouver police had to call in the Air Force explosives team to detonate several what they called unexploded ordnances, which is ammunition that has been fired but had not exploded. So take a good look here at your screen. An archaeologist found this, uncovered the first explosive here, possibly from World War I on Tuesday. The crew detonated that one and then apparently found and detonated several more. But the airfield was once the site of a spruce mill that mass-produced military aircraft components. New details today. Investigators say the fire at the old Blue Heron paper mill was likely accidental and caused by homeless people who had lit fires while living inside the vacant complex. The fire broke out in Oregon City late last month and burned for several days. Crews have now begun the demolition process. And Oregon's motor voter system back up and running after a major error that resulted in more than 1,600 non-U.S. citizens being registered to vote. This mishap was discovered in September. Soon after that, Governor Tina Kotek ordered automatic voter registrations to be paused for an audit. The error was traced to a problem on a DMV web form where workers used the wrong drop-downs for foreign nationals applying for a license. The incorrect data was automatically transmitted to the Secretary of State, who registered them to vote. Now, the audit found less than a dozen people went on to illegally vote in Oregon elections. But in response here, the DMV has updated the problem form, added an additional daily check on registration data, and hired a voter registration integrity analyst. The Secretary of State also plans to randomly sample the files and host a review panel at least once a year. All right, let's head over to Rod Hill. Beautiful day yesterday, round 2 today.
Yeah, you know what? We're running here in Portland a good 5 degrees warmer than we were at noon yesterday. And yesterday hit 61. So, boy, it is nice outside. In fact, the only real cloudiness I'm seeing is off in a distance. This is from the Astoria column camera looking over the Astoria-Meckler Bridge. And you can see some low cloudiness out to sea. But you folks are enjoying sunshine. And after being 68 yesterday, you're at 58 right now, so you're about ready to pop back into the 60s. All of the coast is seeing beautiful sunshine. There's 101 in downtown Depot Bay. This is the camera from the Channel House looking up to the north. Here's Sun River Resort. You can see Bachelor sticking up. No snow on the ground, not a surprise because it's been so warm. Sun River probably looking at a high today as warm as 55 degrees, by the way. Folks over there enjoying clear blue skies. Here's that downtown temperature in Portland. We're now at 58 degrees. That's actually 6 above where we were 24 hours ago. So 65 seems absolutely obtainable. The record today, which is at least in play, is 67. We'll have the forecast into your weekend, which eventually gets back to rain. That's coming up.
Thank you, Rod. The U.S. Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee voted today to advance the nomination of former Oregon Congresswoman Lori Chavez-DeRemer to be the next Secretary of Labor. The vote was 13-9 in favor. Her nomination will now head to the full Senate, where a vote will be held in the coming weeks. Chavez-DeRemer had been criticized by Republican Rand Paul for her support of PRO Act, which would help unions to organize, a bill Democrats widely support. In fact, 3 Democrats crossed party lines in today's vote to help secure approval for her nomination. All right, here's a look at some national headlines we want you to know about this afternoon. President Donald Trump announced this morning that the U.S. will impose an additional 10% tariff on China, bringing that total to 20%. President Trump said that the additional tariff will be on all Chinese goods and will take effect on March 4th. He also said that 25% tariffs on Canadian and Mexican goods, which have been on pause for a month, will take effect March 4th as well. The FDA's Vaccine Advisory Committee meeting to prepare for the upcoming flu season has been canceled. According to a committee member, federal health officials notified members of the committee of the cancellation in an email yesterday afternoon. It offered no explanation as to why it had been canceled. The members were set to vote on which flu strains would offer the most protection in next year's flu shot. Pope Francis continued his recovery from double pneumonia today. The Vatican said today that the 88-year-old Pope once again slept well during the night, had breakfast, and resumed his therapy in good spirits. The results of more medical tests are expected later today. The Vatican canceled a Holy Year audience scheduled for Saturday. And Hamas militants released the remains of 4 hostages overnight. That's in exchange for over 600 Palestinian prisoners. This is the last planned swap of the ceasefire's first phase, which ends this weekend. Talks over the second and more difficult stage have yet to begin. Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel's prime minister, has deployed diplomats to Cairo to try to negotiate a move from phase 1 to phase 2. And those are your national headlines. Now to an update on the death of actor Gene Hackman and his wife, who were found dead in their New Mexico home. According to a search warrant, it was just released. They had been dead for some time before being discovered yesterday. Investigators are now calling their death suspicious. Hackman was found dead in a mudroom, and his wife was found in a bathroom next to a space heater. There was an open prescription bottle and pills scattered on the countertop near his wife. It's still unclear how they died. NBC's Stephanie Gosk has more.
Authorities investigating the death of a Hollywood legend. Gene Hackman found dead Wednesday alongside his wife, classical pianist Betsy Arakawa, in their home in Santa Fe. Police say the couple, who married in 1991, were found with their dog after a neighbor called police to do a welfare check. Authorities say there is no immediate indication of foul play in the deaths, but they did not provide a cause of death or say when the couple might have died. The 2-time Oscar winner always showing grit, intellect, and intensity on the screen. Hackman had the uncanny ability to vanish into any role.
And the problem is?
From tough as nails good cop Popeye Doyle in The French Connection, which earned him his first Oscar.
I'm gonna get him.
To Lex Luthor, opposite Christopher Reeve in Superman.
Mind over muscle?
And after that, a remarkable run of iconic roles in dozens of films, winning over audiences with movies like Hoosiers and Crimson Tide.
Mr. Hunter, I've made a decision. I'm captain of this boat. You're relieved of your position.
And critics with a second Oscar win with Unforgiven.
He's got 1 barrel left.
He kept working even after heart surgery in 1990, turning to mostly comedic roles. It was against the law. Until his retirement in the early 2000s. Hackman and his wife moving to Santa Fe. He continued to work as a novelist, publishing his 5th book in 2013. Though the two were occasionally spotted together, Hackman largely preferred to stay out of the public eye in recent years, while audiences remember him through a remarkable on-screen career. Now police investigating the screen legend's death.